Whew, question 9. Tell me about a time you were under a lot of pressure. What was going on? How did you get through it? All right. Well, immediately the first thing that comes to mind was my capstone that I completed in the spring. That was a lot of pressure because that was a long paper that I had to write. That was like 30 pages. It was the longest paper I had ever attempted to write. I was under a lot of stress, and I was working, 5 hours a day at the time, and so my schedule was very full. I was doing mass amounts of homework on top of working, and I felt, and ultimately the schedule was not what was stressing me out. It was my lack of ability to write as well as I needed to for this capstone, because I needed this class in order to graduate, right? I'm in my final year of college now, but I decided to take it last year just to get it out of the way. And it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done, because if I failed it, if I did bad on it, like, I would have to take it again. And not only that, I would be down a lot of credits, and I don't think I would have been able to graduate at the end of this year. And so that got me nervous. I was just like, it's not necessarily do or die, but it's pretty close to that. And I remember just sitting there going, some nights, and going, dude, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Because this is a long research paper, and there's a lot of specifics that go into this, and this needs to be like a really professional paper, because they're going to be publishing this on the school website, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But all I know is that this was like an official capstone. Right? It's essentially just the bachelor's version of a thesis. And so I was just like, dude, this needs to be picture perfect, or I don't know what I'm going to do. And, yeah, I mean, ultimately, how I got through it, step by step. That's all you can do, right? Because when you're under a lot of pressure, you see the full picture, and you just sit back and you go, oh no, I don't know how I'm going to do any of this. And ultimately, I have a really big problem of seeing the bigger picture and just despairing. And one of the things that I definitely have gotten better at doing over the years, and this is a skill I implemented in full during the last semester while I was doing my capstone, is just block it out. Just focus on what you can do for the next week, 2 weeks. What can you do? How much can you get done within those 2 weeks? And I just worked, and I worked my ass off for 2 weeks, but the whole time I was essentially doing a race while looking down at the ground. And then when I looked up after those 2 weeks, I saw that the finish line was closer than I imagined it would be. And by the end of those 2 weeks, I gained a bit of confidence. I was like, okay, I can do this. And a couple of other weeks go by, and I make more progress than I originally imagined that I would. I was just like, okay. Few roadblocks here and there that set me off, gave me a bit of panic attacks, but just trudge through it step by step. And ultimately, that's all you can do, right? Is because when the pressure is hot, you just have to focus on one thing at a time. It sounds really corny, and it sounds really simple, but trying to remember that advice under pressure is very difficult, and it makes you freeze up. And it just focusing on just one or two objectives at a time just kind of mitigates that pressure immensely.